and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name is Paula. This is the fourth class, I believe, in the Wicca 101. And this video is on Esbats, Esbats, and Sabbats, Sabbats. Now, if you recall from the God and Goddess video that I did, I said that the goddess is affiliated with the moon and lunar phases. So that's when we do a lot of our work with the goddess. And then the god is affiliated with the sun and the solar year. So the god drives the intent behind our wheel of the year. In other words, our Sabbats. So each Esbat and Sabbat have particular what are called correspondences or intent that relate to them. And I'm going to try and keep from dragging this out too much, but it's kind of a complicated thing. The handout will be in the description box if you want to use it for reference. So I'm going to start out with the Esbats, okay, or those that are working with moon energy, drawing down the goddess energy, and what types of spells and things that you could do, ritual work you can do for the different phases of the moon. And then each full moon during the year has a name and a correspondence of what is really good to work with in that month. Okay, now there are a couple of terms that I need to explain to you. Okay, one is waxing. That is the phase of the moon between the new moon and then until the full moon. Okay, in other words, the moon is going from the new, getting larger, okay, in that until it reaches first quarter. Okay, so until it reaches first quarter, it's called a crescent moon. So going from new moon to first quarter is a waxing crescent moon. Okay, once the moon reaches first quarter and then goes to full, that is a waxing gibbous, Gibbous moon. Okay, then you have the full moon, then you have from full until dark. That's referred to as a waning moon. Okay, so from full moon to third quarter is a waning gibbous, Gibbous moon. And then from third quarter to the dark moon is a waning crescent. Okay, then you have the actual dark moon itself, where there is like no light refracting back off of the moon. Okay, so once you understand like lunar cycle, and I'm going to link an article in Wikipedia, and that's the Wikipedia, not the Wicca, Wiccapedia, because there's both out there, and there's Wikipedia, but this is in the regular Wikipedia that most people are familiar with. So I'm going to link that article down in the description box. So each phase of the moon that I just explained has intent. So I'm going to start out with the new moon. The new moon, when there's just the slightest sliver of light in the sky, the new moon actually is if you look on the calendar, a lot of calendars have the moon phases written on it. There are also some really good apps There's one that I downloaded. I know it has like an iOS form. It's called iLuna, ILUNA. And I believe, it costs something to buy it. I want to say it was like $1.99, $2.99, something like that. But that app tells you exactly the phase, what sign the moon is in, the zodiac sign, etc., and when the moon is void, of course. So the new moon is actually the night of the actual new moon and the following night. Okay, so that's when you would do magic or rituals for it's the time of initiation and new ideas. So this would be starting a new project. It would be getting something like getting a new job. And then it's breathing life into a creative idea that you've been kicking around for a while. So let's say you really want to write a novel. Do a video of X. So this would be the time when you would want to do work and spells, rituals affiliated with that intent or correspondence. Okay. Now, when the moon goes from new to full, I mentioned that was waxing. Okay. A waxing moon is when you want to draw things to you. Okay. And it's when the goddess is in her maiden phase. Okay. This is, let's say you want to bring more money into the household. This is when you would do something to attract to you. Okay. Let's say you are, and I hate this because a lot of people try and do love spells, and I hate love spells. But if you do a spell, because you never want to do anything to like directly affect someone's free will. That's just got all kinds of bad stuff. So I would never, say for someone, I want, Joni or Johnny to fall in love with me. I would never tell you to do that because it's just got all kinds of bad juju and you're kind of doomed for doing that kind of stuff. But if you want to do something like, I want to bring my true love to me, you got to be kind of more specific than that, but we'll get into that at another date. But that's when you want to draw things to you. Let's say you want better health, things like that. Anything you want to draw to you, like peace or harmony for your household, any kind of thing like that. That's what you want to do in a waxing moon. In other words, from after the new moon, but before the full moon. Okay. Now, the full moon, the goddess is in her mother stage. Remember, maiden, mother, and crone. Okay. And those are the three phases we work with the most, the three aspects of the goddess that we work. Now, the full moon is when your psychic abilities are at their highest level. Okay. This is another time of like transformation, growth, fertility. Like if you're really, like if you're, trying to have a child and you're having fertility problems, the full moon would be a perfect time for something like that. And it's about, this would be a good time to like increase your psychic power, to tap into that. Now, there are months when you have 2 full moons within the same month. Okay. This occurs every 2.5 years. And that second one is the blue moon. So if you hear the term, I used to hear a lot of times, oh, well, that happens once in a blue moon. Well, a blue moon is every 2.5 years. So, blue moons are about manifesting your most heartfelt, deepest desires. Okay. That's a very powerful time. And it's things that you want to see manifest until the next new moon. Okay. Um, Now, the last, when the moon moves from full toward dark, I said that's a waning moon, right? This is when the goddess is in her crone phase. In other words, she's past her childbearing years, and she's the wise old grandmother. Okay. This is a good time to banish harmful things, and thoughts, release things that bring harm to you, like if you've got a bad habit. Okay. So if you want to release your craving for sugar, this would be the time to work with the crone to help you get rid of sugar cravings. It's also a time for intuition and healing. In other words, you want to get rid of some physical condition. Okay. Now, oh, and one thing I forgot is the full moon, the actual day of the full moon. Okay. You can do full moon magic the night before the full moon, the actual night of the full moon, and the night after the full moon. Okay. So there's actually 3 nights that you can do, spells and spells and rituals associated with the full moon. Okay. Now, the day before the new moon is called the dark moon. That's when there's basically no light reflecting from, the moon. Okay. Now, this is when you do a lot of protection and defensive work and getting rid of negativity and out of your life. Okay. Now, there are times when there are 2 dark moons in the same month. And this is called a she moon. And that's Sidhe, a she moon. Sidhe, she is Gaelic. Okay. Now, during the she moon, this is when you want to do really deep, personal, emotional things like letting go of emotional trauma, and to do shadow work. And we'll get into shadow magic and stuff later on. But those are the Esbats. So then as I said, each moon then has, what are called, each moon each month has a, how do I want to put it? It has a name, and then it has, let's see, elements associated with it, colors associated with it, and intent associated with it. So January's full moon is called the birch moon, and it's also called the cold moon, and less common name is the frost moon. Now, all of these references are in the northern hemisphere. Okay. They may have, I think they have different correspondences in the southern hemisphere. So if you're in the southern hemisphere and your seasons are flipped from mine, you probably have different monthly correspondences. Okay, but these are all for the Northern Hemisphere, and my explanations are all for the Northern Hemisphere. And I apologize for that, because I'm just not that familiar with, you know, the work of the Southern Hemisphere. Because this also plays into the Wheel of the Year, because it's exactly opposite of what we do in the Northern Hemisphere. So January, birch moon, cold moon, frost moon. Now, this is when you should focus on reviewing your goals and focus on achieving them, okay? To develop your inner self, and to do like sachets for protection. And the element that is associated with this moon is air, the element of air. And the colors are black, white, and silver. The gemstone is hematite. And herbs are thistle, various types of nuts, seeds, basil, and marjoram. Okay. Now, February is known as the Rowan moon, the quickening moon, and the ice moon. Okay. Now, the goals would be for you to focus on things to do with your personal development. Okay. And you would then take responsibility for your mistakes. Okay. The type of magic that you would want to work during this time would be work on astral travel. And I'll have to explain what that is in another class, because that's getting into more advanced theories. The element for this one is fire. The colors are purple and blue. Gemstones are rose quartz, amethyst, and jasper. And the herbs are hyssop, sage, and myrrh. And hyssop is the arcane term for oregano. Okay. Now, March is the ash moon, the storm moon, and also known as the moon of winds. So this is when you would want to take a look at your financial goals. Okay. You want to celebrate balance in your life, and this is a good time to do luck spells. Okay. The element is water. The colors are green, yellow, and lavender. The gemstones are bloodstone and aquamarine. And then the herbs are apple blossoms, hajon, betony, and thyme. Okay, and betony is Betony. And so then we have April, which is the alder moon, Alder, the growing moon, and the seed, Seed moon. The goal would be to take a look at education, and goals where increasing your knowledge is concerned. It would also be a time for you to stop planning things and to get up off your hiney and actually do things. And the key to this one is all about visualization. Do magic having to do with visualization of the change you want to manifest. Now, the element is air. The color is red, yellow, and blue. And the gemstones are quartz, selenite, and angelite. And if I forgot to mention the ash moon, March ash moon, the element is water. I don't think I mentioned that. I think I skipped over that. So May is the willow moon, flower moon, or the bright moon. This is a time to focus on career goals and making a major change in your life. This is a great time to do candle magic. Okay, this is associated with the element of fire. The colors are red, orange, and yellow. And the gemstones are amber, Apache tears, ruby, and garnet. Okay. June is called the Hawthorn moon, the honeymoon, or the moon of horses. And this is a time to focus on organization and cleaning, cleaning and home improvement, and doing like what I call a 6-month pulse check on your goals, okay, to see how you're doing. And this is the time to do cleansing magic. So you know that time, the spring cleaning and all that kind of stuff, that May full moon is perfect for that, okay? This is affiliated with the element of earth, and the colors are gold, yellow, and orange. The stones are topaz and agate, and the herbs are parsley, mugwort, mugwort, and then all kinds of moss, moss, okay? And I'm spelling things because I know my southern accent, a lot of people can't understand what I'm actually saying, so that's why I'm spelling things. I'm not trying to be patronizing. July is the oak moon, the blessing moon, and the moon of claiming, okay? This is a time to look at goals involving recreation, like vacations and sports. It's encouraging you to take time to relax, and the action that is really good in this time and magic is to do meditations, okay, to really work on meditating and finding that calm center and taking care of you, okay? The element is water. The colors are green, silver, and then that blue gray. It's gray, but it's on the blue end of blue gray. The gemstones are moonstone, white agate, opal, and pearls. And then the herbs are lemon balm, hyssop, mugwort, and chamomile. August, the holy moon, corn moon, and moon of encirclement. And this is time to focus on your health, okay? What sacrifices can you make now that will benefit you later? And to do spell work with your familiar, you know, if you've got a kitty cat, I've got dogs, so this is a time to do familiar spell work. It's associated with the element of fire. The colors are yellow, red, and orange. The gemstones are tiger's eye, carnelian, and red agate. And the herbs are rosemary, basil, rue, R-U-E, and catnip. Okay. September is the hazel moon, the harvest moon, or the singing moon. This is when you want to focus on goals that surround your home and the people inside it. Okay. This is a time to prepare for winter and maybe even set up a kitchen altar. Okay. This is affiliated, the type of magic that is best is kind of like kitchen witchery, food, cooking, and herbal magic. Okay. Because believe it or not, you can cook with intent and do some kitchen witchery. It's very easy to do. This is affiliated with the element of earth. The color is brown and green. And the gemstones are citrine, peridot, and bloodstone. The herbs are wheat, witch hazel, valerian root, and flaxseed. Okay. September. October. October. I'm at October now. So October's moon is the vine moon, the blood moon, or the falling leaf moon. And this is time to think about goals involving your spiritual advancement. learn and look to your ancestors. This is a great time to do work with your ancestors. And the type of magic is scrying, which is, you know, a form of divination, and dream work. The element is air. The colors are dark blue, black, and purples. The gemstones, these will come as no surprise, are obsidian, amethyst, and tourmaline, and specifically black tourmaline. And the herbs are apple blossom, rose, and mint. Okay, now we're into November. This is the ivy moon, or the dark moon, or the snow moon. Look back at your goals. How did you do? Let go of the past and move forward. And this is a great time to do banishing. The element is water. The colors are gray and blue. And then the stones are lapis lazuli, turquoise, and topaz. And the herbs are thistle, fennel, betony, and pepper. Then December is known as the elder moon, long night moon, or the wolf moon. And this is a time where you create your goals for the next 12 months. Okay. It's also a good time to share your good fortune with others, volunteer, make donations. And this is a great time for gemstone magic. The element is earth. The colors are white, red, and black. The gemstones are obsidian, ruby, and serpentine. And the herbs are ivy, mistletoe, holly, berries, and cinnamon. Okay, now there's actually a 13th moon. Okay, so whenever, remember I mentioned that blue moon? Those are referred to as reed moons, the blue moon, or the wishing moon. Okay, this is when you want to take a look at your long-term goals. Another 5 years, 10 years out. This is when you want to focus on bettering yourself, and this is a great time for initiations. So the element is spirit. Most people are familiar with earth, air, fire, and water, but there is a fifth element that witches and Wiccans work with. It's called spirit, or the ether. Okay, the colors are black, white, and purple. The gemstones are obsidian, onyx, and quartz. And the herbs are ginger, nutmeg, and hyssop. Okay, so those are the Esbats. Now, the Sabbats are affiliated with the god, with the solar cycle, the solar year. Okay, now the Wiccan and witches year starts with a holiday, with a Sabbat called Samhain, and that's Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. Now, this is our new year. Okay, this is where the god dies. Okay, and you're going to see some kind of familiar concepts in here, and I guess the term would be culturally appropriated by Christians. So this is where the god dies. Okay, and the strength of the sun is fading. Now, your crops have already been harvested. Everything's starting to go fallow for the winter. Now, the goddess is already pregnant with the god that is going to be reborn. Okay. the first official day of winter is our celebration called Yule, Yule. Now, this is where the god is reborn, okay? It is the shortest amount of sunlight during the year, and then after that, we're increasing in light, heading toward the spring. This is the light of things to come, okay? Now, the earth is at rest and getting ready for plantings to come in the spring. Now, at Imbolc, which is February the 2nd, the god is a young child discovering the world, okay? Sunlight begins to overtake the night. Temperatures are changing. Then we have spring that starts at Ostara, which is the spring equinox. Now, this makes things a little bit hard because this is for the northern hemisphere. It's completely flipped in the southern hemisphere, okay? So these are all my references for the northern hemisphere. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're coming out of summer and heading into the fall. So I'll get around to that here a little bit later. So the god is now a young man, okay? And this is where the god and the goddess begin their courtship that goes through the rest of the Wiccan calendar wheel of the year. So this is when days become longer than the nights, okay? And this is when farmers begin to plant seeds, and the grass, starts turning into a brighter shade of green. Then at Beltane, which is May 1st, that is when the god and the goddess consummate their love, okay? Trees and flowers are in full bloom. You see, your crops start to, the seeds are germinating and coming up through the earth. Now, summer begins with Litha, Litha, or some people call it midsummer. This is when the goddess is now pregnant with the god, and the god becomes the father, okay? He's in his father aspect. He is at his fullest height of power, okay? And this occurs, Litha occurs on the summer solstice, okay? So this is the longest day of the year, okay? The god is the strongest at this time. So then you move into the first harvest, and that is Lunasa, and that is spelled Lughnasadh. That's Gaelic. Or it's also referred to as Lammas, Lammas. So this is when farmers begin to start really reaping the rewards of the crops that they planted. But the sun is starting to fade, okay? Lunasa is the celebration of the first fruits, okay? It's the first part of the harvest, all right? So your days you start noticing it. They're starting to get shorter, darkness is starting to be more prominent, all right? Now, the last Sabbat is Mabon, Mabon. And this is the second harvest festival. It's also the Wiccan Thanksgiving, okay? The sun is really fading, and the god is now in his sage grandfather, stage. He's also preparing for his death at Samhain, when the wheel of the year starts all over again. Okay. Now, you start at Mabon, you start noticing that it starts to get a little bit colder, and you have to be thankful for all the bounty that the past year has brought you, to really focus on the good things that the past year has brought you. Now I'm going to go through the Sabbats a little bit more in depth, but I wanted to give you an overview of how the god progresses through the wheel of the year and what phase or aspect he's in. Just like I did with the goddess and the lunar cycle, I wanted to do that same thing with the god through the solar year. So at Samhain, October 31st, this is the witch's new year. Halloween or All Hallows Eve, whatever. This is the representation of the ending of fall, and you're looking to winter, to preparing for winter. Sometimes Samhain is also the third harvest of the year. So that's when you're bringing in the very last things. You're bringing in your seed and putting your seed away for the next year. After you've done your harvest, then you let some of your crop go to seed, and so that you have seed for the next year. Now, Samhain is the day when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest. Okay, this is when you want to remember your loved ones. And I do this by having what is called a dumb feast. I set a place setting at my dinner table that is, there's no one assigned to that seat. Okay, and the food and everything that I put on that plate setting is an offering. Okay, now and I leave that out on my doorstep for my ancestors that may want to come visit that night. So I leave food and drink on my front doorstep for them. And of course I do this after the trick-or-treaters are long gone, and I don't want people messing with my stuff. So this is also a great time for divination, by tarot readings, reading the runes, scrying, that thing. Okay. Next is Yule, and it's Yule. This is the winter solstice, usually December 21st, 22nd. It's the shortest day of the year. The colors are red and dark green, and the symbols are holly, mistletoe, pine branches, pine cones, evergreens, and wreaths. Do we see a little bit of how things got appropriated a little bit? It's the birth of the god, and you have all of those Christmassy kind of things associated with it. Okay. This is where Yule logs are decorated with evergreens and holly, and then it's lit at sunset and burned until the sunrise. You want to keep your Yule log burning until sunrise. And it's a time, a celebration of family and friends, peace, love, and positive energy. Okay. Imbolc, February 2nd. Now the other names are Imbolg, Imbolg. Let's see. Candlemas, that's another one. Bridget's Day or Bride Day. Okay, and Bridget in Gaelic is actually Wahid. It's not Bridget, but most people say Bridget. The representation is the first planting of spring. In other words, this is when you would like start your seedlings inside that then you would transplant later, like in your gardens and stuff. Now, the colors are pink, pale green, and white. And the symbols are candle wheels, evergreens, willows, and grain dollies. So dollies made out of like wheat stalks. Ritual fires are lit to symbolize birth, healing, and inspiration. So you can light a candle and carry it through each room of your house to encourage the return of the sun, okay? And then burn the remnants of your Yule log at this time, okay? So this is a popular time for vows of dedication, rededication, and initiation, okay? Now, Ostara. This is the spring equinox, and this is the representation is a balance between light and dark, okay? Because there's an equal amount of light and an equal amount of night, okay? The colors are light green and pastel colors. And the symbols are spring flowers, bunnies, and baby birds. Now, what does this sound very similar to? That was appropriated by the Christian church. Now, this is a solar festival of fire, light, and fertility. It's a celebration of new life. And it's all about new beginnings, fresh ideas, meditation on your hopes and aspirations, and dreams for the coming year, okay? Then the next one we have is Beltane, and that's on May 1st. It's called May Day and May Eve and Samradh, Samradh. The representation is the end of your spring plantings. So this is when around the first part of May is when a lot of people start planting their gardens and, you know, really focusing on their outdoor space. So the symbols for the colors are white, red, and pink, and the symbols are spring flowers, especially roses. The maypole, you know, dancing around the maypole. That is, the maypole is actually a phallic symbol, and it's all about, you know, fertility, okay? This is a time of sex, love, and guess what else? Strawberries. So this is the second fire and fertility festival during the year. And this is when, if you've ever heard about jumping a balefire, this is it, from Beltane. Dancing around a maypole ensured protection. And it's a time of appreciation and affection for all that you have been given in your life. Now, the next one is Litha, or midsummer, and this occurs at the summer solstice. So that would be June 21st, 22nd, in through there. It's the longest day of the year. The colors are white and pale yellow. Symbols are the spear, which represents the god, the cauldron, which represents the goddess, summer flowers, St. John's wort, birch, and white lilies. On this, you would light a bonfire at sundown to provide light to the revelers of midsummer and to ward off any harmful spirits. This is the peak of magical powers. So it's also a time to remember that nothing lasts forever. You know, death is a part of life. Okay. This is when you celebrate abundance, fertility, virility, beauty, and the bounty of the earth. Okay. And it's a great time for hand fasting ceremonies. And hand fasting is like the Wiccan version of marriage. Okay. And it's also workings for empowerment. Now, Lunasa or Lammas occurs on August 1st. The other, this is the first harvest and the bread harvest. It's referred to as a bread harvest. So I make breads and stuff like that for Lunasa. So the colors are gold and bright yellow, and the symbols are summer flowers. Think about like sunflowers and things like that. And then nuts and grains. And this is a time where you feast and count your blessings. And then finally we have Mabon, and this is the autumn equinox. It's called, let's see, the Pagan Thanksgiving and Harvest Home. It usually occurs on September 21, 22. And the representation is the second harvest. The colors are dark brown and red. The symbols are harvest foods, like corn, pumpkins, gourds, that kind of thing. Okay. It's a time to be thankful for the harvest. And this is when you would do your canning, taking care of things to get you through the winter, okay, that would typically have been done by people. I know this is, August and September were huge times for like my family to be putting away the stores. I mean, because we had very large gardens. We had very large kitchen garden. And then, my grandmother, when she had the full working farm, she had, big fields for grain to get for the dairy cows and the horses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to get them through the winter. Okay. So this is when you really do a lot. Lunasa and Mabon are when you're really preparing everything, getting your seeds put together, for the next year, everything like that. Okay. So there you have it. That is the wheel of the year and the tales of the god and the goddess as they go through lunar cycles and the solar cycles. I hope that you found this entertaining. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. I try to get to comments every day or two, if I possibly can. The handouts will be linked in the description box, as I said, as well as a link out to the article on lunar phases, and I will link one out to the Wheel of the Year also, okay? So with that, my friends, merry we did meet, merry we will part, until we merry meet again. Until then, everyone, be well and walk in love and life.